Originally released as a free mod in September of 2012, Black Mesa has you taking control of legendary theoretical physicist and all-around badass mofo with a crowbar, Gordon Freeman, as he goes all John McClane on alien ass to stop them from taking over our world. In this classic first-person shooter, you will pick up all sorts of weapons to help you in your fight against the alien menace. Everything from the basics like shotguns and Colt Pythons to experimental weapons like the gluon gun that vaporizes everything it touches. You'll face off against the government as they try to wipe out everything to do with the experiments that the scientists at the Black Mesa facility were conducting, and you will fight back against the alien scourge, taking on creatures such as HEV zombies, hound eyes, and of course, head crabs. I hate head crabs. How you doing, fellow geeks? GamerDad79 here, and today we are going to be taking a look at one of the classics in video game history, Black Mesa. To fully understand and appreciate what Black Mesa really is, we have to go into the backstory and history of a little game called Half-Life. So before we get into it, please give me the thumbs up. The thumbs ups always help. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, and share if you enjoy my content. So without further ado, let's get into it. Black Mesa started out as a little-known game you may have heard of called Half-Life. Half-Life was originally released in 1998, the year I graduated high school and joined the Navy. Holy crap, I'm old. Half-Life was developed by Sierra Studios. Yes, the same Sierra Studios known for adventure games like King's Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, and Police Quest, and published by Valve. Half-Life went on to win over 50 PC Game of the Year awards and is considered one of the most influential first-person shooter games, as well as one of the best video games ever made. The original Half-Life was praised for its graphics, realistic gameplay, and seamless narrative. Back then, weaving a narrative into gameplay really wasn't a thing. The story was mostly told through cutscenes, and Half-Life was one of the very first to incorporate the two. Fast forward to 2004, and Valve developed a new game engine and decided to port over some of their older games, and Half-Life was one of those games. However, some fans didn't think the update took advantage of the source engine enough. So, a group of fans decided to take matters into their own hands. Black Mesa as we now know it was originally released as a free mod back in 2012. The mod was so well received that Valve gave the group their blessing to release a commercial version of the game, and a development group known as the Crowbar Collective was born. Since 2012, Black Mesa has been in various stages of development. The original for-purchase version of the game was released in early access back in 2015 and released its final major update and full release just this past March of 2020. Black Mesa received positive reviews when it was released and has received praise as it was updated over the years. Crowbar Collective was given a lot of acclaim for their attention to detail, with some critics even comparing it to a full physical Valve release of a video game, as well as for the improvements that they made for the final chapters of the original Half-Life game. The plot to Black Mesa is essentially the same as in Half-Life. You guide Gordon Freeman through the Black Mesa facility to try and stop the alien invasion. Along the way, you will face off against the government as they try to sanitize the site of the experiments that brought the creatures to our world, and against various alien beings from another dimension. Apart from the annoying as heck head crabs, I hate those damn things, I actually found the soldiers that you face off against to be a bit more of a challenge. It felt like they came out of nowhere with coordinated attacks that could easily overwhelm you if you were not careful. The later levels had some tougher alien battles that required some strategy, but overall it felt like they would line up for you to mow down with your various weapons. Now personally, I hated facing off against the soldiers. Most of the battles against them would take place in these wide open areas where it would easily give them the advantage over you. They were easily able to overcome you, surround you, and take you out with no problem at all, firing weapons that were extremely powerful to kick your ass. Now, all the enemies in the game kind of feel like bullet sponges, but the soldiers were the worst. Like, I felt like I can empty whole clips of ammo into one soldier before finally putting him down. Now, I repeatedly found myself frustrated with these parts of the games and ended up quitting, only to come back the next day or two, figuring out a way to get past it and moving on with the game. The game was obviously made with a keyboard and mouse in mind, but limited controller support is available. I had to use my keyboard and mouse to navigate the menu screens, and while I was able to switch between two different weapons using the controller, I still needed my number pad to scroll through all the other different types of weapons. There wasn't even an option in the input section of the settings to use a controller, which to me was a disappointment given the fact that this game has been in active development for 5 years now. Now, I know a lot of you are probably cursing at me right now, saying that a mouse and keyboard are better input methods, especially for first-person shooter games. Now, I've been a console gamer pretty much my entire life. I grew up with a controller in my hands, and it just feels more natural to me than a keyboard and mouse. Now, I admit I do enjoy the accuracy that you get by using the mouse to point where you want to shoot, but I just can't wrap my head around using the WSAD keys and all the other keys to move your character in different directions when a couple of analog sticks just feels so much more natural. For a game that is essentially an upgraded port of a game that came out in 1998, Black Mesa looks really good. Now, this is no next-gen graphics powerhouse, but considering how old the source code for this game is, I came away duly impressed. Not only does the game look good, it plays good too. A lot of times when you revisit older games, it's difficult to play them because of how far game development has come over the years, especially in level design and controls. However, the game controlled smoothly, and I didn't come across any major graphical hiccups along the way. Now, I did hit some spots where Gordon would get kind of like stuck on the geometry for some reason, but the save system is very generous. So just a quick reboot of the last checkpoint, and I'd be back in the game. Environmental puzzles were hit and miss for me. While some you could figure out using some sound logic and a little brain power, some puzzles came down to locating something that was in the environment that was difficult to spot. In one section, I was facing off against this giant monster that my weapons had no effect on. I had to use some environmental aspects to destroy it. I'm trying to avoid many spoilers here, so bear with me. No matter what I did, I could not figure out where to go or what to do, and most walkthroughs were written or recorded for earlier versions of the game. It boiled down to I had to crawl up some pipes to find my way into a different area where I was able to set off a series of events that would kill the giant alien. Now, later environmental puzzles, especially in the last couple of levels, were laid out fairly well. They were challenging without being frustrating, and that's a delicate balance to hit when creating puzzles for games. Final thoughts. Now, I love going back and revisiting older games to explore and check out, if for nothing more than to appreciate how far we've come in game development in such a short amount of time. Black Mesa kind of fits somewhere in the middle of all that. While the core game was created in the late 90s, Crowbar Collective has made the game a modern experience that makes it difficult for me to decide if I should place this in my retro review playlist or in my regular game review playlist. Now, my main reason for picking up Black Mesa was to experience the full Half-Life story before I step into the VR game Half-Life Alyx here soon. However, while I did find some points of the game frustrating, I really enjoyed my time with this game. The game takes roughly between 14 to 18 hours to complete depending on how you play, and is currently sitting at an 84 on Metacritic. If you've never experienced Half-Life, or played an earlier version of Black Mesa, there is no better time to pick it up as it only costs $10 on Steam right now. I highly recommend it. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section below if you have played Black Mesa or the original Half-Life and what you thought about it. Personally, I really enjoyed my time with Black Mesa, and I'm not a huge first-person shooter fan, so the game definitely grabbed my attention and held on to it. So, until next time, fellow geeks, I am GamerDad79. Keep on geeking on.